Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Uma Talks. My name is Uma, and I am the CEO of the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center located in Northern Virginia. I am also a psychic medium, a soul alignment coach, professional healer, and the Amazon bestselling author of Chronicles of a Spirit Walker. I've also written another book called The Awakened Life. Welcome in. I see a couple of you in the chat. So I do want to shout out Luna Bea. Hi, thank you so much for coming. And to everybody that is watching, hello. So tonight's show, we don't have a guest. We usually do have guests on the Uma Talks episodes. And tonight's show, we don't have a guest. I just wanted to focus specifically on something interesting that has been happening. And it goes back to psychic predictions. Now, I hesitated to bring this event up because, when you think about people that predict the future or have prophecies, you think of like big names, Nostradamus, Joan of Arc. And I, by no means, consider myself at all in any of those brackets. However, it's interesting to note that over the past few weeks, I've been giving some psychic predictions, and then certain things have been coming true. So last week, I was, again, sharing in my stream. For those of you that don't know, I stream on TikTok and on Meet Me, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And I was just sharing in my streams about certain things I've been doing. I've been changing my lifestyle, and I've been getting these messages to do more of this, less of this. So I wanted to share that with the people that regularly come to my streams and hang out. And there was this gentleman in that stream that decided to get in the box and share with me that a lot of the things I was sharing was actually talked about or proven in either government policies or books written or just other people talking about the same things. So we found that interesting that I had this knowledge about these things, but didn't really have a link to somebody else giving that to me besides the other side. So I just wanted to come in here and share with you guys the things that I've been experiencing, the things I've been told, and then you can use it for your knowledge. Again, these are my opinions. They're things that I've been doing. And of course, it's a conversation always. So whoever's watching live, you guys can feel free to put it in the comments, any questions or comments or similarities or even differences to what I'm sharing. The only thing I say is that even if we all have different opinions, it's very, very important for us to be respectful and kind to each other about how we view our opinions or what our thoughts are. Okay? So with that being said, let's jump into it. The first time I had some real big predictions happened actually in 2019. I meditate, and I was meditating a lot more that year than I usually do. And I remember I was getting some very specific messages about my lifestyle and my career. In 2019, I had a massage school. In addition to owning my center, I had a massage school. And the massage school ran like a school term. It ran from September to about May, and then the students graduated. We took the summer off, and then we rebooted and then started again in the September, because over the summertime, I had to do the paperwork for the school because the school was able to certify future massage therapists for them to take the exam. And if they pass the exam, then the nursing board of Virginia would give them their massage license. So it was a very legit above ground business. but it also came with a lot of red tape because, doing educating people and following curriculums and following guidelines, and you had governing bodies that I had to follow all their rules. So I remember that summer of 2019 when my spirit guides were telling me it's time to close the school. And that hit me so hard because the school had only been open at that point for like 2 or 3 years. And I've only had like 2 or 3 classes. And I felt like I was now getting into the flow of things, because the more you do things, the easier it gets. But I was getting this really rampant message: close the school, close the school. So after that last class graduated in 2019, I decided to close the school. I submitted my termination paperwork to the nursing board, packed up all the boxes of whatever client student files I had, and shipped it off to the offices in Richmond. I was also given a message in 2019 to build a deck outside the back of the house. And again, people might be listening and saying, well, that's so trivial, Uma. Like, why are we talking about this? We're trying to talk about the world, but be patient. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And these are big things. It costs a lot of money to build a deck. I had to find the contractor and then tell them what I want and then get it cleared with the HOA and then build the deck. And the way I built my deck is that there's a gazebo on my deck. And I know it looks kind of weird, to have a gazebo on the deck. But again, everything makes sense later on. So I did that. I built the deck with the gazebo. And the last thing I remember from 2019 was my spirit guides again were telling me to buy more things. I don't usually buy things in excess. We go to the grocery store every week, and whenever we need something, we buy. We don't tend to hold on to anything in excess, but that's my yogic principles. And I was again told to buy things and start stocking up on supplies, canned meat, canned beans, rice, oil, paper towels, toilet paper, things of that nature. Last thing I was told was in January 2020 was to go to the bookstore and get a bunch of books along with my kids. So they came with me and we all bought a bunch of books. Now you guys probably know where I'm going with this because we all lived through this thing that I'm going to talk about. It was the pandemic, right? My spirit guides were preparing me for the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, I remember exactly when it hit because the last thing that I was told to do was to sell one of my offices. So by the time January 2020 came around, I had 2 offices, one upstairs in the building that I rent from and one downstairs. And I sold my massage school because the downstairs office was for the massage school and the upstairs office was where I had my metaphysical wellness center. So when I, ended the massage school, I had these 2 offices running. So I would do my classes downstairs and I would have clients upstairs. Well, when January 2020 came around, I had to have a surgery. The surgery didn't go well and I almost died. That's another whole other story about me crossing to the other side and what I saw there and all I experienced. But when I came back, I remember that it was in January after the surgery and everything. I kept getting this panic to sell one of my studios. And it was just very constant. I needed to sell. And in February, I sold the upstairs suite that I had to 2 estheticians. And I moved everything downstairs. Now, I was moving so fast. There was such a pressure on me to get this done that I actually ripped one of my stitches that because I had just had surgery. And you're supposed to be laying in bed. You're not supposed to be moving anything, let alone walking. And I didn't really care. This pressure was on me to do this. So I was, even though my friends offered to help and they did come and help, I just was impatient and I just had to move things. And while I was moving, I remember a massage table. I remember feeling like the rip, and that caused me some more illness till for another few months. But the reason why I had to move that quickly was because when I gave the lease over to those two estheticians, it was like 2 weeks after that we were all ordered to quarantine. And I was like, wow, wow. I just got rid of this suite. And if I didn't have this suite, if I had both, I would have to be paying rent on both of the suites. And then I thought about the massage school. How was my massage school going to survive at the time of the quarantine? I don't know how the other massage schools survived, right? Because we were actually touching people. And it definitely didn't matter if you wore a mask back then, you would still be needing to touch people. So that's how I was able to avoid all of that calamity. And also too, we had a house stocked with things, food and whatnot. We had a house full of books and games. Even though we still had the internet, we had like actual things in the house to keep us company. To my surprise, we were actually able to enjoy the pandemic, the quarantine, because it was me, my children stuck at home, not having to go to work, not having to go to school, and having all our creature comforts in the house, right? We had our electricity. We had this beautiful deck where we could go outside and get some sunshine. We have a beautiful neighborhood. We could go outside and walk. We had food. We had books. We had games. We actually were able to enjoy the quarantine as a timeout. So when I went through that situation, I said to myself, next time I get messages, I'm going to share it with people. And of course, there's going to be some people who will listen to me and think I'm crazy and call me all sorts of names. But then there'll be the few. There'll be the few that not only will listen to what I have to say, but there'll be the few that will also have the same messages that I have. And I already started finding them. I see Cypress Rose LLC in the comments. She's definitely one of the people that I have been talking to that have been getting the same messages as me. I'm going to also name Sarah and Robin and Danae and Sarima and Chris, right? We've all been getting the same messages. So that's what I want to share with you here today. The first thing that I want you guys to know is that I am not afraid of this new administration that has taken hold in America. That is the first thing. Even though I did not vote for this president and his team coming in, I am not afraid. Okay? And I have to say that because there is a lot of fear-mongering going on in the world, and there is a lot of people that want to use this situation for their own benefit. And you guys have to be aware that not everybody on the planet is here for unity and harmony and peace and peaceful transitions. The message I got about this administration coming in is that they are trying to bring us back on track, and they do want the same things we all want, but they're going about it in their own different way. So I say that because I feel sometimes that we want to see the changes coming in and look at it in a negative light. And I've learned over life that the law of attraction is always working. And the law of attraction is bringing us what we want. Now, I say that again to repeat, I did not vote for this administration, but I know what I do want at the end of my life. I want peace, harmony, love, community amongst neighbors. I want us to love each other. I want us to take care of each other. And I really, really want a large Lotus community, which just means people loving on each other, right? No sort of affiliation or sect or cult, just people loving on each other and wanting to take care of each other. Well, interestingly enough, whether they intended it or not, I see exactly that coming into view. I've had visions of large communities popping up where people are choosing to belong to something that is smaller than the greater nation, the country, but larger than just their household. It's something like in between. I've had visions of people forming communities, and it's kind of like these self-sustaining communities where we go back to the days of bartering and trading. In fact, I recently was telling my team at the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center that we are going to start doing that starting February. One Friday a month, we're going to have a Lotus Sustainability Club where people will come, and it will be like a marketplace. People will come, and whatever you have and you don't want, or you have excess of, you'd be willing to trade or barter with someone else who has something that you don't have but you need. This could be anything. So there can be people bringing books, clothing items, extra wares in their house, or artisans bringing their craft, essential oils, natural products, soaps, hand-knitted blankets, or there can even be professionals willing to trade services. I'm a massage therapist and a Reiki healer and a tarot card reader and a past life regression therapist and a reflexologist. I'm willing to trade all of these services for food, vegetables, right? Items for my home, education. If I can give someone an hour of a massage and they give me an hour of teaching me how to garden or something like that, right? Yes. Cypress Rose said she's so excited, and it's so Pluto in Aquarius. And that's one of the things that happens every time I talk about my visions. I love that I have people in the comments that they are the professionals. Cypress Rose, if you don't know, is dabbling in the world of astrology. She's a healer, she's a psychic and a medium, and she holds classes at the Lotus and the Light Metaphysical Center. So she has a very strong knowledge base in astrology. And the Pluto in Aquarius is a big thing that I think we need to talk about. Pluto has been in Capricorn, my sign, for the last 16 years. And it just changed over to Aquarius in November 19th, 2024, I believe. Pluto moved into Aquarius. And if you know the Aquarius energy, it's the opposite of Capricorn. It is progressive, it's modern, it's the humanitarian energy. We need to take care of each other, right? Pluto is the sign of transformation. So with Pluto moving into Aquarius, we had Pluto in Capricorn where everybody was fixated on money, prestige, right? I want to be famous. I want to be Instagram famous or TikTok famous. I want to make a lot of money, and I want to be well known. I want to be recognized. That's the Capricorn energy. And now we have Pluto moving into Aquarius where the energy is, how can we rise as a community? And this is why I say we can't look to the bad of situations. We have to always look to the good. Maybe your official did not win the election, but it doesn't mean that the desires you have to also fade away. You have to be willing to look past that very small, because it's very small, right? Significance of my party lost, the opposing party won, we're all now doomed. We're not. We're only doomed if we give up on our dreams and our desires for what we're looking for. And I refuse to give up. I take everything that happens as one step further on my path, one step closer to my joys and my dreams. And it's always been my dream to be part of a community that take care of each other. So the formation of our sustainability group at Lotus to meet once a month, I'm very, very excited about, because I picture it as a kind of marketplace. We put it up, people come, you can just, we start off with a talk, and we go around a circle and have everybody talk about what they really truly came here for, what they really truly need. And then people can offer up what they can offer to give that to that person. And then afterwards, we just have kind of like a laissez-faire marketplace where people could walk around and say, oh, you got that cup? I need that cup. You want this plate? And so forth and so forth. I'm very excited to see how that goes. The other thing that I've been given information about is to go back to my roots. Now, most of you that have any other roots outside of being in this country might have also been feeling the pull to that. I'm from the Caribbean. I'm from Guyana, and I grew up in Guyana up until I was 19. And a large part of who I am came from my Caribbean heritage. Now, in the Caribbean, we tend to turn more to natural healing methods, natural wellness, natural things than commercial things. I didn't really go to a doctor much when I was growing up because, your parents, your grandparents, your aunties, your uncles, they always had some sort of remedy, folk remedy, if you will, to cure some things. And I've seen it all from, herbs and teas to, actual techniques. I remember when I became a young woman and had my first period, my mother giving me a boiled egg to eat and to drink Guinness. I don't know. It was a rite of passage, right? I had to eat a boiled egg. Could you imagine your now first time in your life having your menstruation and you already feel horrible, and now you have to eat a boiled egg and drink a Guinness? Thankfully, I didn't have to do that every single time. It was just the first time, and I did it. And I still don't know what that one was for. But there's been things like that, oils for if you have a headache or if you were sick, they would do cupping, what we now call in modern society, cupping. That was done by my grandmother, who would take a glass jar from the kitchen, light a fire, put it under the glass jar, make a suction, put it on your stomach, and your stomach would swell under the glass jar. And she would say, that's the evil spirit that needs to come out, right? Come to find out, it was the bad energy. It was the toxins, right? So there's like these little things that I love so much from growing up in Guyana that have recently, over the years, as I've gotten older, started to come back to me. And this deeper desire to go back home and spend like a month or 2 months back home to just meet with the elders of my country and learn from them, learn the things that they naturally know that's been passed down through the ages, and to have that knowledge. So for those of you that are listening, and if you feel brave enough to write in the comments, have any of you also been receiving that ideology of, I need to learn the ancient ways? I need to learn things that have been around for centuries, right? Because that is why I started my Lotus Essential Oils Club. We love nature. We love things that come from nature. and there's a lot of healing benefits in natural products. And I feel like people don't take that seriously enough. You know, there are many essential oils, and instead of reaching for medications because you have a headache or a fever or indigestion or a toothache, you can easily find herbal remedies, essential oils, right? Tinctures that you can make, salves, balms, lotions. There's so many things that you can create just using simple things like essential oils and also herbs and teas and things of that nature. So, over the past few years, I've been feeling the call to that. Now, usually every year, I'm a Capricorn, in case you can't tell. And for Capricorns, we always like to be very busy and we're ambitious and we like to get a lot of things done off of our to-do list, right? And we usually at the beginning of the year, I have like 20 or 30 New Year's resolutions of things I want to accomplish. And it's all detailed and, you know, have checkpoints for each quarter and this and that. Can I tell you that this year I only have 3? And to other people, they might be like, well, who cares, right? But that's such a big drop from somebody who's been completing 20 to 30 New Year's resolutions a year. And the 3 are monetize my YouTube channel. That's why you guys are seeing me more and more on YouTube, because I'm going to be sharing more of my wisdom and more of my predictions and my dreams and prophecies and readings and things of that nature. Learn astrology, because I've been told that following the planets, you could never go wrong. It can actually help with my predictions more, because whatever I predict in relation to what I know what the planet is doing, it can become more fine-tuned. And I was told that if I, like how Cypress Rose just said, oh, what you're talking about is Pluto and Aquarius. See, I didn't know that, right? Until after Pluto and Aquarius happened, and I was like, oh wow, that's the same message I've been getting, right? And then the last one was to learn gardening. Learn gardening. So to monetize my YouTube, to become an astrologer, and to learn gardening. Cypress said, it started with returning to the basics you taught me in intuitive development, very similar to how you were talking about law of attraction. And from there, it's going to what it provides. Yes. Cypress is also, her pathway has been mirroring my pathway. And we've both been going back to basics and releasing things and getting closer to other things. So let's talk about this gardening thing. One of my predictions was that the food source was going to start to be tampered with. And I was talking about this last week. I said that, isn't it funny how now, right now in America, it is 2025, we have a new president, and he has instituted, as soon as he came into office, this mass deportation of illegal migrants. Now, when I heard that, the first thing I went to is all the jobs that are not going to be fulfilled, because now with the ICE, right, the immigration and immigration agents moving around and given presidential approval to go to certain areas and pick up people and detain them and then deport them, people are going to be in hiding, right? People are going to be in hiding, because if you know, you go to work or you go to school or you go to church or you go to the courthouse to do your business or whatever, and there's officials there waiting to collect you, you're not going to go if you're in the country illegally, right? So they're going to be staying home and avoiding those areas. And when I heard about the migrant mass deportation, I remember thinking to myself, well, what about the farms? Because a lot of migrant workers worked on the farms. And no sooner had I had that thought than on the news, right? I can't remember if it was ABC or um, CBC or CBS, I'm sorry, or Headline News. It was some channel. And by the way, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years, but I am on social media a lot because I create my content on social media. And while I'm scrolling, say through TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, I get snippets of the news because people would create the snippets and I would see. And I remember this one news channel had a panoramic view of a farm, and they were saying that the owner of the farm said 75% of the workforce did not show up to work. There were migrant populations. And then he also showed a truck on the road by the farm, and it was the immigration um, enforcement officers just waiting. So he also said in that clip that there was tons of lemons and grapefruit and limes, oranges that were not being plucked, that will go to waste because they don't just have enough hands. So that's going to affect our supply, right? This is why I said sometimes when you see a thing happen in the world, you can't immediately go to it's a negative thing. You have to look for what the positive is. Now, think about this. We have lands, we have food, and we don't have anybody mining the food on these lands. So how are we going to get that food? So my prediction was that the powers that be will use this as the perfect time to introduce AI, to introduce robots. Now think about this from a business perspective, regardless of how you feel about the matter, right? A robot would be the perfect employee in that situation, right? A robot wouldn't care if it's hot outside or if it's raining or what the weather conditions are. A robot wouldn't care about pay, right? They will go out there and do that manual labor because it's programmed to do it. And how easy is it also to program the robot to spray the foods with certain chemicals or insert certain little bugs? To be honest, what I saw was a little kind of robotic pill, very, very, very tiny, being inserted into the foods. And then we eat the foods, and that's how it gets into our system, into our digestion. And now we have a tracking device in us without our knowledge, right? So then I said, okay, if that was to be true, because again, I'm just seeing these visions and I'm logically talking through this to myself. And I said, well, if that was to happen, then, well, how would they get a mass community of robots onto the fields? And then the next little news clip showed the president talking about putting a lot of money into the creation of a super AI center called Stargate. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but he said that he was working with 3 companies. They were coming up with billions of dollars to invest in Stargate, which would be the leading AI manufacturing company in the world, putting America on the map. So now I'm following the thread, right? Let's remove the migrants, get them out of the country. We now have this surplus of jobs that most Americans wouldn't want to do. because of the low pay or the hazardous conditions that the migrants were willing to do to make a little paycheck and stay in the country. Now the migrants are gone. Now we have need, demand, and supply. So let's go ahead and get public opinion that this is a good idea to create these robots and then to put them out on these fields and have them work for us, but also let's program them for other things as well. That is why I became much more interested in gardening and creating my own food source, as a lot of people have. A lot of people have started learning gardening, and they're either teaching themselves, like I am, watching YouTube videos, watching all these wonderful gardeners on YouTube or, TikTok or whatever else, trying to teach ourselves what we know so that we can learn this and have this knowledge for ourselves. It's also a reason why people are trying to buy up heirloom seeds before the manufactured seeds start coming out, or also before food starts being manufactured without seeds, because that has also been in the talks. That, why sell a lemon with seeds that you can take yourself and plant and grow into your own lemon tree? In the future, we're going to have food manufactured without seeds so that we won't be able to have the seeds to grow. That's why a lot of people that are prophesizing right now are telling you, buy seeds, stock up on seeds, because soon we won't have any more seeds. A lot of people have also been telling you that you have to be careful about what you put in your mouth, right? So I was sharing this last week about these visions I've been having and explaining to people why I'm starting to learn now. And somebody in my stream last week was saying, well, why are you doing this now, Uma? Because we have all the time to do this, so why start now? And I said, because the internet is not going to be around much longer. That is going to be something that's coming up in the future. The way we talk to each other right here, all this information I'm giving you right here, this is not good, right? Because now you can start to prepare for those times, and you can start to take this knowledge and say, well, let me start doing that. Let me start buying up the seeds. Luna Bea said, we've been taking our seeds from peppers to plant. Yeah, anything. You could take your onions, right? Your potato, your anything. You can really start just taking right now your scallions and replanting them, and it will grow. It will grow. So a lot of people are getting the message. This is also too why you see when you start learning gardening, a lot of gardeners are trying to show you how to garden within your house and how to set up hydroponic systems. Hydroponic systems are where we grow plants without soil, because the soil will also be affected. So you're going to have to learn how to survive and, feed yourself, feed your family with food that doesn't necessarily require soil. So that's why you're seeing a lot, like right now in the news in Virginia, they have the very first hydroponics farm. They said Richmond, but it's actually Chesterfield, Virginia, where they have the very first hydroponics inside farm. And it was these tall towers of strawberries. And basically they're going to start cultivating strawberries that are made on these towers, right? They're inside, they're not using the soil, they're saving the planet, and they're growing through water alone. And this farm is supposed to provide, like, I can't even remember if it was 20,000 or 25,000 pounds of strawberries. I can't remember if it was a week or a month, but it was a massive amount. It's a cleaner way to garden. It's an easier way. It doesn't drain our soils, right? and we can still nourish ourselves. So we're going to start to see more things like that popping up. So when I was talking about this in my stream last week, and I was saying, we're going to start to see the whatever government is in power. Again, this is not a political thing. This is not bashing this side or that side. It's yes, hydroponics. That's it, hydroponics. It's more about the nature of where we're going, right? And we have to be aware of why things are happening. The reason why they're going to start having these farms come up is because we haven't really been utilizing our natural resources well. So they're going to have to start to take back the land to invest in these food sources to feed us, our population. And that's when I got my second message about population control. The way we're growing, the way we're living, our earth, our beautiful planet cannot sustain us. We are by far the most wasteful creature alive. Out of all the animals and all the living kingdom, we are the most wasteful. We are greedy. We are self-satisfying. And we do not respect the natural laws or respect the land that we live on. We waste. Now, this second part I'm going to say might hurt a little. Might even cause some of you to question my ethics or question me and my motive. And you're entitled to do that. This is why we have these channels where you can tune in and listen, and you get to make the decision for yourself. But I will tell you how I feel about it, what my predictions are, and what I've been seeing psychically about the whole situation. A lot of times we want to look at the people in power as these evil people that just want to destroy the planet. That doesn't make sense. Now, I will say this. I do tend to think differently. I one time took a quiz, the Myers-Briggs quiz, and found out I'm an INFJ, which is like the rarest type on that quiz of the population. It makes up like 1% to 2% of the population. There's 16 personality types, and the INFJ is the rarest type. We think differently. We're introverts. We study things. We look at patterns. We compare with our logic and our intuition, and then we make decisions, right? And I don't have any fear about any of this. What I felt was the powers that be. Now, it is not the government. There's higher powers than the government. Now, some of you might say, is she talking about the 1%? I could be, but there's higher powers than them. Well, is she talking about the 5 most powerful people in the world who, it is documented, own the majority of the landmass on the planet? There's 5 people. There's 5 people that own the majority of the landmass of the planet. You can look it up, you can Google it, you will get their names. Is she talking about them? I could be, right? But there's also a higher power than them, because we have a saying in metaphysics, as above, so below. And as above, not many people talk about. As above is outside of this world and in the spiritual realms. So a lot of times people want to feel that some of the people on the planet have gone rogue and they just want to take care of themselves and be rich and have everybody else be low. But that's not true. They cannot by law. There are natural laws of a planet that you have to follow. If not, the planet will die, including those people. So even though there's 5 people on the planet who own the majority of land mass, right? They still have to follow laws, because if not, they and their future generations can also perish along with all of us. This is what I feel from my predictions. I feel that there are a group of people who are running things, and they're aiming towards a one world order kind of society where it's not country versus country versus country. It's we're all one world. So you can easily travel from America to Spain, to Russia, to China, to Venezuela, and back again without the need for all the red tape or whatever, because we would all be following the same rules, the same laws, no matter where you go. Kind of like in the US, whether you're staying at a Hilton hotel in New Jersey or a Hilton hotel in Florida, it will be the same experience wherever you go. That is what I saw. No matter where you go, it would be the same experience, because we would all be under the same order. They're aiming for a one world order. And there's a lot of implications about that. But they're letting us know what they're doing. Now, some of you might say, but why? Why, Uma, would they tell us what they're doing? Because it is not evil what they are doing. They have the understanding that humanity cannot take care of themselves. So we must step in, we must intervene. If we love this planet, then we must do these things with or without people's permission, because we're looking out for them. Think of a parent with a child. A child is acting badly. A child wants to eat chocolate cake for dinner. A child wants to run outside in the rain naked, right? But as much as you love your child as a parent, you know it's not good for them to have chocolate cake for dinner or to run outside without clothes on, because they could get sick. So we do the things the child doesn't like. We give them good food for dinner and vegetables, and we put clothes on them and keep them inside so they don't get sick. And the child doesn't like the parent. And sometimes you have a split personality with those children. Some children, even though they don't like it, they still love their parents and respect their parents. And then the other children don't like it and then learn to hate their parents. And that is what we have going on in the world right now. I have never been given any sort of vision or prediction of any of this being bad. And I know it's going to disappoint a lot of you, because you were hoping to come on here tonight and hear Uma talk about, conspiracy theories and yes, there's the 1% that rules everything and they're evil and stuff like that. And, sometimes, guys, I wish that I got those messages so I could be part of the cool crew, I like to say, the conspiracy theorists. And they're so cool, right? They fight against the grain and they're like the heroes of society. But I haven't been getting that. What I was shown is that there is a small group of people that are running things behind the scenes. They're making decisions based on what they discuss and they feel is necessary for the survival of the human race, for the survival of the plant and animal kingdom, and for the survival of the planet. It is actually being done in love, even though we can't see that right now. And the reason why they're doing it for the good is because there are higher beings than them. Non-entity, non-physical body beings that they adhere to. And if they don't follow the natural laws, they will be taken out. Make no mistake. Those other beings will intervene on our behalf. And we know about these other beings, right? Most of us have heard Esther Hicks talk about Abraham, the sentient beings from another dimension that speak to us and teach us about the law of attraction. We know about Cryon from Lee Carroll, who talks to us about, it's not, don't say aliens came and formed the pyramids or those big statues on Easter Island. That entity, Cryon, speaking through Lee Carroll, would show us how humans actually did it with their own merit, their own bravery, their own creativity. They have this couple out of Australia, the teachings of Czar, they've talked about, talking about unconditional love, compassion, and kindness. So this is not new, knowing that there's beings outside of the planet and the beings that communicate to certain, individuals that have the ability to receive that vibration. I believe that is why all the information is out here in plain sight. You just have to know how to look for it. Because one of the natural laws is you have to disclose what you're doing. You can't just surprise people and pull things on people. You have to get their consent. So if you're sitting there and you're watching The Simpsons and you see this cartoon that makes a prediction, you receive it because you're watching it. And then that is the allowance we give to them for things to happen. Now, I might have lost some of you here, so I want to check in to see who's still here and if you understand what I'm saying, or if you have any questions, now would be a good time. Cypress said, I've heard all of this as well regarding the food. Astrology and reading the movements of the planets and stars provides so much insight, right? Yeah. So this is what I've been seeing. Start looking for things that are online and use AI, because AI is a wonderful tool. AI is just a robot. It doesn't have any feelings, right? I remember they just made a movie with Megan Fox. I forgot the name of the movie. It just came out, where she was like a robotic nanny, and this man who lost his wife and had a daughter wanted to hire this nanny to take care of he didn't lose the wife. The wife was sick. She had terminal illness, and he wanted the nanny to take care of the daughter because he was working and stressed and everything, and Megan Fox was the nanny. And the movie, of course, we know Hollywood, right? They like to sensationalize everything. They tried to make Megan Fox out to be this like robot that wanted this man and had like feelings for this man and wanted to like, permanently, off the wife so that she could be with the man. And I'm just sitting here and I'm watching this movie, and I was like, even though they tried to insinuate that, they know that they couldn't, because it's a robot. Robots don't have feelings. They have programs. They run on programs, right? And I just remember saying, I'm so glad I don't allow my emotions to get the best of me. Because if I was a person who allowed my emotions to get the best of me, I'd be sitting here really thinking this robot wanted that man. But that's not the case, right? The robot is programmed in that movie specifically. Spoiler alert. The robot is specifically programmed to protect the family, protect the child. So it can make views that this is a threat, this is not good for the family. Remove that life force, protect the child, protect the family. Nothing emotional about it. And I think this is why humans are so easily manipulated and so easily led astray, because it's very easy for the top percent to throw out a bunch of smoke screens and get us so invested in the smoke screens we don't see what's actually happening. I had someone in my stream last week say racism is a smokescreen. I never heard that before, but I could understand it, because if we are so busy battling each other, we're so busy focusing on My race, my color is better than yours. My race, my color had more hardships than yours. If we keep focusing on that, we keep focusing on the past, keep focusing on what we have or don't have. We don't take personal responsibility. We don't have accountability. We don't have a spirit of community and unity. Then it's very easy for us to be divided. And then if we're divided, it's very easy for us to be controlled. The top percent can keep doing what they want to do, regardless of how we feel about it. I feel as a society, the best thing we can do is to start to become more self-aware, not just of ourselves in relation to our lives, but in relation to how we live our life, how we take care of our home, how we take care of our community, and how our part plays into the majority of things. We will be in smaller communities. Let's just say the internet goes out. Now we don't have the internet to sit here and I'm in America talking and someone in India is hearing me. We don't have that anymore. We are forced to go outside and make friends. And we're forced to get reacclimatized back into our communities. Start now. Do you know the people in your own community? Start now. Go to your local metaphysical center. My metaphysical center, we offer a lot of free classes. Like I said, we have a monthly essential oils club, a monthly book club, a monthly sustainability club. These are free, right? And my center is not special. There's centers like mine all over the US, the world. Find those people. Find the healers in your community. Go to their events. Because when you go to these classes, you're not just, let's say you wanted to take an essential oil bath bomb class. I want to learn how to make a bath bomb with eucalyptus oil and lavender oil. You're not just going to learn that, which is, by the way, an impressive skill, right? You're also going to meet other people in the community who believe in these things like you. You're also going to support that healer who has spent their lifetime developing the knowledge that can actually be useful to you. Let's just say we all go off the grid. They shut down the electricity, they shut down the internet, they shut down the cable, and now we're left in our cities. Are you going to be okay? Do you have a community that you belong to? Because I'll tell you something. The reason why back in the day our ancestors moved in groups, moved in tribes, was for survival. You can't do it all. There's not enough hours in the day for you to make your own food, take care of your home, sew your own blankets, feed your own children, take care of your own health. There's not enough hours in the day. You need people. You need community. And if you haven't paid attention, it's very easy for us to not be a part of community because we have so much on these little online computers and devices, right? We can come on here and spend hours and hours strolling through TikTok, strolling through Facebook, strolling through Instagram, watching YouTube videos, right? And yes, the irony is not remiss on me that you're sitting here watching watching a YouTube video with Uma. All right? I get it. But here's the thing though. This should be part of your life right now. The other part is you should be going outside. I was saying that I've been enjoying being outside. I like going outside, even though I'm spent a lot of the time online here. Another reason why I took up gardening is because I want to be outside more. I want to connect to the sun and the land and feel the dirt in my fingers and feel a plant grow and see it grow from seedling to full plant. I want to experience those things because what if I was to tell you in the future, we won't have those things anymore? That we would all be shuttled off to live in major cities. We would all be put in these apartments that are now smart apartments. that will have the ability to lock us in if we weren't behaving well, or we were sick, or we were deemed a threat to society, and our actual freedom will be limited. Because that's coming. Whether it's this lifetime or our next generation's lifetime or our great grand or great 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 grand, it's coming because it's going to be more efficient. Instead of having people scattered all around the planet, it would be more efficient to develop major cities with high-rise buildings. We put everybody in those buildings, and then we break down all the houses and all the property that belong individually to people, and then we give them to the big companies, and then the big companies do what they will with them. Some of them are going to use it for farming, like I told you about those hydroponic farms. Some of them are going to build underground silos in the event that we have a nuclear war, and then we can take the best of the best population and put them in those underground silos, right? So there's reasons why the land is going to be taken away from people. It doesn't matter if you own a home and you have a land title. There, if the group of people get into power that want to do away with your rights, it can very much happen. We're seeing it happen now. We're seeing it happen now that a lot of people's rights are being taken away, specifically the LGBTQ community and the women's rights are being affected right now, right? As well as foreigners, immigrants, migrants, rights are being taken care of. That's why I always say, sometimes people are so naive. They like to think, well, it's just affecting that group of people. I'm not going to care about it. But if you have that mentality, then I hope you have that same energy when it's time that things come for your group. And I hope you're understanding when other groups don't want to help you or look to you to assist you in whatever problems you go through. This is why it's so important that you do develop a heart now and care about what is happening to everyone around you. I'll tell you this, I haven't been able to sleep for 3 days now because I've been having so much anxiety about all of this stuff with the ICE officials and, what we're seeing in the news of them being in different cities and the drones flying overhead. And at first I thought, oh gosh, could I get deported? But that didn't make any sense. I've been a naturalized citizen in this country for over 25 years, right? I've been a US citizen for over 25 years. I've lived in America the longest I've ever lived in any other country. And I have all my paperwork and I'm in the system. I was fingerprinted and documented and all of that 25 years ago. So why am I scared about what's going on? So, one of the things I teach my students is never, ever blindly accept the fear-mongering energy, because the fear-mongering is needed. They got to push us along through fear, push us to where they want to push us. So when I realized after the third night of not sleeping, the second night of not sleeping, on the third night, which was recently, I said to myself, I'm having a lot of fear. I'm actually getting into a panic where I don't want to go outside in case some van comes along and pushes me inside the van and whatnot. And I said, wait a minute, this don't make any sense. So you know what I did? What I've been doing for the past 20 years, which has given me the knowledge that I have, that I've been sharing with you. I meditated. And in my meditation, I was very quickly told, it's not you, Uma. You are feeling the actual real-time emotions of the migrants in your city. And I said, that's it. I can feel their pain, their anguish, their fear, their loneliness, their abandonment, their mixed emotions. How could I be in this country and give so much of myself and be treated like this? Because it's not just the recently newly acquired migrants that are being taken out of the country. It's migrants that have been here illegally for many years before all of this, and even citizens that have the characteristics of migrants. I have a friend on the live stream platform that I stream on that said his friend was actually detained by ICE for 3 days, even though he was an American citizen. And then when he was released with no apology, no recompense, because he was out of work for 3 days. They didn't give him a check for those 3 days. Just oops, sorry, thought you were here illegally, even though he's been a legal resident, legal citizen here for many years. So it can drive panic. It can drive fear, right? Hey, Afro. But you can't fall into that fear energy. You can't fall into, well, they could be coming for me. Because in that aspect, there's no they. Remember, the ICE officials are men and women doing their jobs. Maybe there's a small percent of them that have ulterior motives. Maybe there's a small percent of them that really want to rid the land of migrants. Maybe. But the majority of them are doing their job. And I feel intuitively that the majority of them don't particularly want to do this job because they are caring human beings. They are mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and wives and husbands. And having to take these people away from their loved ones, their family, their work, their home is also touching an emotional thread in them. So as much as we're going to hear about these detentions and deportations, I think in the coming weeks, we're also going to be hearing from the actual people themselves through social media about how this is not a part of the job they like doing, and they're trying to do it with the utmost respect. Because in one of my visions, I saw migrants being escorted, into the detention centers, and I actually saw ICE officials being very caring and considerate and trying to uphold those people with dignity and respect. I mean, we already see it, right? In the news, Colombia's president refused 2 planes of deportees because they were brought to Colombia on the deportation plane, and the Colombia's president very strongly stood up and said, nope, you are not handling Colombian residents and citizens that way. We will send our presidential plane to pick them up because you will not disrespect these people, okay? You're not going to treat them like criminals. We're going to treat them like people. So this is why I say you can't buy into the fear mongering. You have to understand that whatever is happening up above, there are people still alive that care. And we can all do our part. As the world shifts and changes and transforms, we can choose to be on the side of love and do what we can to make this a transition that is out of our control, right? Because unless you hold office or you're rallying or you're a political activist, right? We have no control in this. What we can do is we can take care of each other. And that's a lot of what my visions have been about, is about the fact that we need to take care of each other. So I'm curious to hear what people in the comments have to say. Look at that, 9/11 as I finish my talk. Which 9/11, again, you see how perception is so important. 9/11 is seen as a bad sign from a lot of people. I love 9/11 because it's actually my birthday backwards, 119, January 19th. And I take that as a significant showing that the powers that be, and I'm not talking about the human side, the spiritual side, are pleased with what I'm doing. I'm spreading the message of love and unity, of trying to see the bigger picture of what is happening, of not falling into the fear mongering energy of it all. And for you, especially if you're a light worker, you're being called to do your part. What are you doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm a teacher. I'm a spiritual and metaphysical teacher. So I'm going to continue to roll out my coaching programs. I'm going to continue to roll out my metaphysical programs, and I'm going to continue to teach people till the day that I die. You will learn through me how to safely use essential oils. You will now learn from me as I learn how to garden and create your own food source. You will learn from me how to barter and trade within your community and make the world smaller as you start to get to know the people in your community. You will be reminded by me of the power and the joy of reading through our book club. You will learn from me how to take care of yourself through energy healing techniques. I currently teach IET, integrated energy therapy, Reiki, access bars, tuning forks, Manai Ki, shamanic initiations. You will learn all those things from me. That is me doing my part. I am the teacher. I will teach. And I will also teach you that you have a superhuman quality to you, and that is love. Fear is not as high a vibration as love. If you choose to stay in fear and panic, then you will invite to you all the things that fear and panic brings. But if you choose to operate in the vibration of love and community, then peace and harmony will flow to you. Hi, Yolanda. By the way, guys, can you please hit the like on my video if you're watching this? This is the kind of video of mine that I want to trend on YouTube. Not the other videos where I'm giving my opinions on public matters, but this kind of video where it can be helpful to people. Thank you, Cypress Rose. If anybody has any questions, I'm open for questions right now. I can even post the link. Let me see. Invite. All right, I'm going to drop the link here in the comments. If anybody want to join me as a guest, you're welcome to click this link and come on up here and share your thoughts, your views, anything that you want to talk about. You're welcome to come on up. Hi, Yolanda. But I really just wanted to come on here and tell you guys, I have been getting visions and predictions. And yes, last week I had it, like I said, a man. Oh, I didn't tell you how it was validated. So a lot of what I talked about, a man came on my show on the app that I stream on. And he said, this is wild that you got all of this psychically. He said, because really and truly what you're talking about is Project 21. And I said, what is Project 21? And he said, well, it's everything you just said, plus more. So if anybody wants to look into that, apparently there's a Project 21, and it's supposed to start taking place in actually 2030, 5 years from now. However, when he was talking about it, I will say this. When he was talking about it with more of a fear energy attached to it. Like, hey guys, you got to start giving up your life now, and you got to start doing these things and getting ready and building like underground bunkers and stuff like that. But I was not buying into it. Like, for instance, he was saying that according to this Project 21, your land, your house and stuff will be taken from you. You will have no rights because everybody's going to be put into those major cities that I talked about, right? And they need the land back. So they're going to take it from you. And they're going to have laws that will allow them to take it from you. And then you're going to be shuttled off to those apartments and stuff. And he said that he's not going. He's going to go underground and with his family and stuff. And he's like, what would you do, Uma? And I said, I'm going to go to the, large buildings or whatever, the major city. I'm going to go willingly because you are choosing to stay outside the system and fight the system from outside. I choose to willingly go into the system and create peace and harmony from within the system and let people know they're not alone. And I'm not afraid to go. Because really and truly, like what's the big deal? Like think about this for a second. The powers that be decides that we're not using the land properly and they want to put us in they want to take the whole population and put us in these 5 major cities, right? Which means what, by the way? What's the other thing I'm not saying about that? The other thing I'm not saying about that you can logically pick up is right now it's feasibly impossible to put all of the population of the US into those 5 major cities. So what do they have to do? Population control, right? They have to cut down the population at least by half to be able to fit that group of people into those 5 major cities. Funnily enough, I was talking about this just earlier today on my live streams, and another gentleman came in and he said, well, that's why they're deporting the migrants right now, and they've had all these things. I don't want to say, because I don't want to get banned off of YouTube, but, let's just say they have engineered things to make us not well, for some of us to not have life anymore, right? So they have a lot of things going on that is, the wildfires and the snowstorms and all. Like there's a lot of things happening right now where we're seeing a lot of loss of life, right? And that comes because we do have to have population control, so that way we can take the best of the best, survival of the fittest. It's been happening over years, not just now. And these people will now be eligible for the smart cities that they're creating, right? They're taking over and they're creating, and they're doing it bit by bit. Just look at the people that are buying up the real estate and all these smart things they're creating. SMART was an acronym for something, and I forgot what SMART is an acronym for. But it's all going to be controllable. Now, you can choose to look at that as a negative thing. Oh, my freedoms are being taken away, and now it feels like I'm going to be in a prison. Or you could choose to see the positive of it. Oh, I'm going to get an apartment from the government where I don't have to pay any rent and everything is provided for me. And yes, my apartment is going to look exactly like the apartment next door to me and the other apartment next door to me and whatnot. And we're all going to have the same apartment, but we're going to have adequate shelter from the elements. We're going to have adequate food. We're going to be healthier, right? Maybe some of the unhealthy things that I like now might not be there, but oh well. And that's why what you choose to do now, it depends on your mindset. Because like I said, the guy I was talking to last week, he was talking about training and, building an underground whatever and all this other stuff. And he's like, are you doing those things? And I said, no. Said, matter of fact, if anything, I'm drinking more, right? And partaking in all the substances now, right? That are, clearly that are legal. I'm not saying anything illegal, but like the chocolate cakes and the in my state, weed is legal. So I'm partaking of all that now because why? Because soon we're not going to have it. So I might as well enjoy it while it's here. But that's just always been my mindset. You can't fight what's coming. You can't resist what's coming. So you might as well enjoy what you have now until you no longer have it. And I think the reason why I have that mentality is because this is not all there is, guys. This life is not all there is. We have more life. We are souls. We are eternal. We are infinite. We are energy. So yes, while our time on this planet may be coming to an end, which it naturally will, because age is going to catch up to you, there has not been one person alive yet that has lived forever. I don't care how many vampire stories you read, okay? There's not been one person alive yet that has lived forever. We're all going to go to that next place. So Enjoy it while you can. Spend your time wisely. Take care of yourself, your mind, your body, your health. Love on the people that love you and enjoy it. Don't allow yourself to buy into the fear. Okay? All right, that's it. And thank you to everybody who sat here for an hour and 22 minutes with me as I did this talk. I really appreciate you. Please feel free to share this video on your social media channels if you want to. And please, if you can, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. So if there's nobody else that has anything else to say or to offer, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And I will let you know that the next video that we do have coming up for Uma Talks will be next Wednesday, February 5th, where I will have a panel of people. And because February is the month of love and Valentine's Day, we will be doing our talk next week, Wednesday, on February 5th, 2025, on redefining relationships in the modern society. What does it mean when we say we're in relationship? What should we look for in relationships in this day and age? What should a relationship have and not have? I'm going to have a panel of people with me, and we're going to discuss those key concepts. You're welcome, Luna. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.